Welcome into another edition of Gone Racing. Jeff Motley here at the South Point Hotel Casino alongside Brendan Gaughan for the second week in a row. 2 weeks
a winning streak.
The planets have aligned with the sun. A month of Sundays has hit the calendar and hell has frozen over. Jeff and Brendan are in the studio together for 2 weeks in a row.
Baby. and we're another month closer. It's almost South Point Hotel Casino and Spa. Not yet.
When is the spa opening? When is the spa opening?
We got
time for our show to be over for the year?
It should be done before the show is over for the year. So I believe we can add Spa back to it before the final episode of Gone Racin of the year.
I think we should get a complimentary massage when they open for all the talk about the spa that we have given it.
I will give you the same price I get. Locals discount.
Well, I'm sure it's friends and family, right?
Nope, locals discount. That's what I get.
Friends and family rate. Okay, all right. Well, we are back here this week and coming off a pretty incredible race at Iowa for young Ty Gibbs. You know, I think there's a lot of people who probably a year ago thought, is Ty a guy who's got the ride because his granddad owns the team, but he always showed flashes, right?
Well, we've been talking about it for years.
And how many times have we picked him to do well over the years, and he's kind of really let us down? Well, I'll tell you what, he's having a really solid year. He picked up the win at Iowa, and don't look now, Ty Gibbs is second in points. What do you make of this resurgence? I mean, he's a real championship contender now.
He is. And look, we've talked about this for a couple of years, Jeff. You and I, he came in as a freshman and had some success. We kept saying he's not over the hump yet. Sophomore year was pretty difficult, but here he is looking really strong now. The summer's been great. First of all, Gibbs and Toyota, you've talked about it all season long. Toyota has been phenomenal, and he is there. But really a resurgence. Denny Hamlin, of course, is Denny Hamlin, but Christopher Bell, youth movement. Ty Gibbs, youth movement. Tyler Reddick, youth movement. There's these young kids now are starting. Carson Hocevar, youth movement. These kids are starting to. Corey Heim, who is coming in the Toyota camp.
And next year will be a full-time, and he's got 2 wins this year, and he's not even a full-time driver.
So, it's right now, things are looking good, and Ty is really strong, coming out, proving kind of all the stuff that we've expected from him. Just it took longer. So what? And it drives me nuts, really, honestly, Jeff, when guys talk about it took longer for him to. Well, yeah, that's called development. He didn't have the practice.
Heim is sort of an outlier. And let's see when he has to do it 36 consecutive weeks next year.
It takes a toll, but Ty Gibbs has absolutely taken the development, allowed time, didn't let the downs get him down, and here he is. Off of 2 amazing wins, looking really strong this year.
Well, and I think we also have got to give a lot of credit to his crew chief. They decided to do 2 tires on the last stop, which allowed him to get out in front of Christopher Bell. Bell took 4 tires. Bell's crew chief and apologized to him after the race. He goes, "I'm sorry, Christopher. I thought it was going to take 4 tires, but the 2-tire stop was quicker for Ty. It got him up front. And honestly, he managed his tires well. He didn't have that much tire fall off. He knew he didn't have as fresh of tires as Christopher Bell, but he did everything right. Every time Christopher Bell got close to him, and they raced each other clean, which teammates typically do, and especially I think those 2 guys seem like they're pretty good teammates.
Well, and look, on other shows on Sirius XM delve into the other issues of our sport. We tend to stay away. Christopher Bell, a couple weeks in a row, has been able to get to the person, but not past the person. That is nothing new, Jeff. I don't care what these fans and what people are saying. We've had this thing since I started in the 90s. Remember the old, getting to you is one thing, passing is another. And it doesn't matter where it's at, what type of racetrack. My job is to make sure you don't get me. And we've been doing it for 40 years.
Well, keep in mind, the leader has the preferred line. So if you're going to pass the leader, you've got to take a non-preferred
line. You got to do something to get him. And another thing, where if you look at this, the finish doesn't show up for Joey Logano, but Penske is having one heck of a late summer surge. Joey Logano, absolutely phenomenal, was leading the race and was looking good, was running up front the whole time, or not leading up, but he's in second and third, that early runs, 2 great stage finishes, second and second, and then a pit stop problem. Same thing that cost Bubba Wallace.
There are a lot of guys that had pit stop issues at Iowa.
And both were the same problem. Jack Man dropping early, only looking at 1 tire.
Chase Elliott, I think, had although I'm not sure if that was totally on the Jack Man. But
Bubba, Joey, Chase all had Jack Man problems that dropped early on a tire changer. and that cost him. But,
they must have had a Jackman party the night before.
Ryan Blaney, though, with, 129 laps, led the most laps of the race. Blaney was super strong, just didn't have it at the end for the two Toyotas. So Penske looking championship form, also coming down the stretch into this chase run.
They are. Well, let's take a look at the odds from this past weekend at Iowa. 12-1 was Ty Gibbs' odds to win the race. He was a plus 350 for a top three. I think somebody at the table here may have picked that one. Congratulations, Mr. Gaughan. And then Toyota came home with the win. I did get that one. Plus 110. Not quite as big of a return as you got on your plus 350 there. And then he also brought actually I didn't get the Toyota. I got the Joe Gibbs Racing win plus 120. So yes, he brought, because last week, if you remember, we did not have any group matchups and we had some pretty poor driver hit heads. We had some good news this week. We got the group matchups back.
Groups
so we'll talk about that a little bit later in the show. Now we look at our top 10. We mentioned Gibbs winning in a plus 350 for his top three finish there. Christopher Bell, we talked about him finishing second. He was plus 140, and Ryan Blaney plus 150. But there were some guys that had a really, Josh Berry may have been the fastest car on the track at the end of the race. He just couldn't pass enough cars.
He needed that top five too. Solid. This is
back-to-back top tens for Josh Berry at a 2.5 mile track and a 3/4 mile track.
And again, Penske resurgence.
Very good for him there. Denny Hamlin, another solid run. In fact, it's gotten to where Denny Hamlin finishes fifth, and it's like a disappointing run. As you like to say, you'd take his disappointment
I'd kill his
any day. But a couple guys with good runs. Well, actually, Ross Chastain, he probably needed that. He's not totally out of making the playoffs, but he certainly is seeing his window dwindle, so he definitely needed that strong run. A.J. Allmendinger, a nice top 10 finish. And how about Austin Dillon, who I do believe all three of us thought our lock of the week was Dillon winning head-to-head against Austin Cindric, and now he's going to a track this week where he's won twice in a row. Even if he did have one of them, he got penalized after the race, but he still got to keep the trophy. So Austin Dillon, he's a 3/4 mile track king, right?
We said it. Austin Dillon would run well, and he ran better than 10th. Just that's where he finished after the last pit stop. But how about the dinger right there? And again, second week in a row. Well, not second week in a row. 1 week we had no Hendrick, but this week one Hendrick car with William Byron. Kyle Larson leading laps, running up front early. Had a tire go down, so that was bad news for. Didn't lead laps, but was up front.
But yet another week though where the top finishing Chevy was not a Hendrick Chevy, and this has been going on for a while. And a name that's not in this top 10, and I am just, and every week I get more and more flummoxed by it.
Tyler Reddick.
Kyle Larson too.
Oh, Kyle
Larson hasn't won a race since last April.
Look, but to me, Tyler Reddick's demise right now has been shockingly larger than Kyle Larson. Kyle Larson has run well and hasn't finished.
I think I'm just shocked that we're now almost 50. We're over 50 races, I believe, since he last won.
Yes, we have. And that is a shocker, but to me, we had Kyle Larson, Tyler Reddick, we handed him the regular season trophy 2 months ago. Like, oh, Tyler, it's over.
It was like we were racing in his world and everybody else was just following suit, right?
And when we get to the current standings, Mr. Motley, where is Tyler Reddick now in these current standings?
He has plummeted to fourth. Now, I don't think he's going to fall any lower than fourth because he's 140 points ahead of fifth with only 3 races left, but the fact that Ty Gibbs has now moved into second, now he's 103 points behind Denny Hamlin. So Denny has got a pretty firm grip on the regular season. But Ty Gibbs, Ryan Blaney, Tyler Reddick, nice battle for spots 2, 3, and 4. And we need to remind people that when we get into the playoffs, it's not based on how many points you have now. It's like you're going to get a certain number of points if you're in first place, a certain number in second place. So it doesn't matter whether Denny is 200 points or 2 points between first and second. He's only going to have certain.
How about this real quick though? If you look at these standings, Ryan Blaney, if you're watching on the Gone Racin YouTube, not listening on SiriusXM, I'll tell you, 16 top 10s, the most top 10s in the field, ahead of Ty Gibbs and Denny Hamlin, which is why Ryan Blaney is third in points now.
But the reason he's not second is because he's only got
top five. But still, pretty amazing numbers right there. And you look at the guys that all have the double-digit top 5s. Christopher Bell, what's he driving?
Toyota.
He's 10 of them. Tyler Reddick, what's he driving?
Toyota.
He's got 10 of them. Ty Gibbs, what's he driving?
Toyota.
He's got 10 of them. And Denny Hamlin, what's he driving?
Toyota.
13 of them. So, the guys that are running top 5 every week are, and the guy just outside, Chase Briscoe.
He's got 9 of them.
He's got 9 of them.
Toyota.
So, Toyota, with Blaney being the only guy in there fighting for another manufacturer. in the top 5 in points. But the cutoff line, we're starting to see a little gap now.
Ryan
Preece still has a shot, but I think Ryan Preece is the only one.
I would agree with you there. He's 29 points right now behind Austin Cindric. Shane Van Gisbergen, he's probably feeling pretty good, but 47 points.
Shane's got a shot, baby.
But here's the thing. With stage points, you can make up a lot of points. I mean, you saw stage points come into play is a reason that Ty Gibbs passed Ryan Blaney for second place, even though Blaney finished third in the race.
And Tyler Reddick no longer has a 100-point lead. But 3 races to go, SVG, he's sitting almost 50 points above the cutoff line. Tough races coming up, though. New Hampshire, really, really tough. And Daytona, as you like to say, crapshoot. But SVG is sitting in position, baby. Come on, SVG.
Well, and I think he's got a strong shot at making this playoff. It's unfortunate for him. There's no road course in the playoffs to help him along, but it is what it is. Well, speaking of our upcoming schedule, we've only got 3 races left in the regular season. Yep. This weekend, we're going to go probably to the track that is most similar to where we just came from, Iowa. We're heading to Virginia, to Richmond Raceway. Then we head up into New England for New Hampshire, and then we finish our regular season at Daytona, which may not have quite the drama going into it. It's going to have a little bit of drama, but not what we've seen in the past. And then we kick off our playoffs at Darlington, the Southern 500, the cookouts. We had 2 cookout races in the next 4, by the way.
They're making some money.
And then our second race of the playoffs in our 5-race window here, going out to Gateway. Gateway, a little bit Worldwide Technology Raceway. Sorry, Chris Blair. But yeah, Gateway probably a little bit similar to New Hampshire. They got a little bit of similar. I like to call it a flat Darlington.
3 and 4 is similar.
Yeah, I like to call it a flat Darlington.
Yeah, no, I love I love Gateway, so it's a great track, but it's one turn similar to Gateway, the other one kind of similar to Richmond.
Well, that's an exciting trip, by the way, for the fans to go out to Gateway because our buddy Chris Blair is always out there putting on a concert and everything. So, okay, we'll be back on Gone Racing, and we'll start giving you odds to win this weekend at Richmond. Welcome back into Gone Racing. Jeff Motley, Brendan Gaughan here at the South Point Hotel Casino, and we've just wrapped up Ty Gibbs' incredible week at Iowa Speedway, and now we're heading to a track that is no stranger to anybody on the NASCAR circuit, one of the oldest tracks on the circuit, even if the current configuration is only about 35 years old. Richmond International Raceway was not your favorite
Fill it with water.
Track out of
Make it a pond.
Yep, I remember that you've never really liked. It's a great town, a lot of history in Richmond, a lot of history at this raceway in Richmond, but not a place that you had a lot of success.
I found out every single way to screw that racetrack up. I overdrove, underdrove, inside drove, outside drove. I upside down drove. I did everything I could.
Did you really get upside down one time?
No, but I probably wouldn't have done it any worse.
You were upside down one
I've been on fire. I caught people on fire. I was on fire. I've had all sorts of things at Richmond, and even my good days were bad.
Was that the track you and Bobby Hamilton?
That was the Bobby Hamilton. That was the famous.
A little better.
That was the famous Bobby Hamilton wrecked me because 7 years earlier in a exhibition race in Japan, he said he was paying me back
from 7 years earlier.
Yeah, from an exhibition race.
From an exhibition race.
My first Cup race.
Well, most people don't hold grudges that long.
Well, apparently him and Elephants and Jimmy Spencer, right?
Yeah. Jimmy Spencer, don't forget. That
was not a Jimmy Spencer. By the way, just so nobody says it, I was not making a Jimmy Spencer size joke. I love me some Jimmy. It's the Jimmy Spencer memory.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Memory.
That's what Jimmy, that was his famous line. Jimmy Spencer, don't forget.
Don't forget.
And obviously, Bobby Hamilton
didn't forget.
Didn't forget either. So,
anyway.
But we are talking Richmond this weekend, and I don't think there's any big shocker. Maybe there's a little bit of a surprise with some of the
There's a shocker that it's this high.
There's one that surprises me a little bit in here. But our co-favorites here are Christopher Bell and Denny Hamlin. No big surprise at plus 400. Joey Logano and Ryan Blaney are both plus 600. Austin Dillon, who's won the last 2 races here, probably one of the best set of odds we see on Austin Dillon all year at plus 800. Last week's winner at Iowa, Ty Gibbs, is 10-1. Kyle Larson is 15. Also Chase Briscoe actually has been bet down to 14-1. Kyle Larson at 15. Bubba Wallace at 16. Tyler Reddick is 18-1. William Byron and Chase Elliott both at 20-1.
Got me salivating here. First of all, Denny Hamlin and Christopher Bell being plus 400. I think you could have taken both those down to plus 250 to win, and I would not be shocked. These, of course, come from the South Point. But you got me salivating. You're going to give me Ryan Blaney, who was one of the fastest guys at that racetrack, led the most laps, just didn't get it done in the end at plus 800. Joey Logano, second in both stages, super fast all day long at plus 600. And you're giving me Austin Dillon and Ty Gibbs. Ty just won. When Rusty Wallace helped build Iowa, do you know what he used as the model? Richmond. And Ty Gibbs just won. And didn't just win, did a great job winning. He's 10-1. And Austin Dillon, who's won the last two, is 800. Those are great numbers on guys, even to win the race, that I really, really like.
I totally agree with you.
I could take three of those and be happy and think I got a shot.
Those two guys both jump out at me. You know, if it wasn't for the fact that this team and this entire organization has really been struggling this year, seeing a 20-1 on William Byron, who won in 25 at Iowa, and knowing that Byron has had some really strong runs at Richmond. But I'm really so down on the Hendrick teams. It's like I wouldn't even touch Kyle Larson at 15-1 right now, which is unreal. I think Chase Briscoe at 14-1 is also a pretty good number, but I'm with you. I think the best numbers I see at the top of the board here are Ty Gibbs is probably my number one at 10-1, and then I do like Austin Dillon at plus 800. All right, let's look at our longer odds to win here at Richmond. Carson Hocevar and Austin Cindric are both 40-1, along with Brad Keselowski. Josh Berry, 45-1. Ross Chastain is 50. Daniel Suarez and Chris Buescher are both 60-1. Ryan Preece and Alex Bowman are 75-1. We have a field bet at 30-1.
Yeah, I mean, definitely not a place for me to take the field, even though a lot of things happen at Richmond. This can be fuel mileage. This race can be all sorts of things. It's a great racetrack for the fans. The only names I'm looking at on this back page, you know, you could get a shocker out of a Josh Berry, who come off a fourth place finish last week, who is a short track ace, so to speak.
Back-to-back top 10 finishes right now.
And fighting for his career. And I just talked about the Penske resurgence. So I don't dislike the Josh Berry bet. Carson Hocevar. God,
they had a mechanical problem 10 laps into that race at Iowa.
And they never got to show anything.
He never had the horsepower the whole day. He knew it was going to be a long day.
But Hocevar is one of those where that team, they kind of, when they have a bad week, they rebound with a great week. So do you ride the rebound on Carson Hocevar? Those are the only two that really intrigue me right here. If I'm looking for a deep long shot, I wouldn't be afraid of a Josh Berry at 45-1 or a Hocevar 40. You're taking your, giving it your kind of lotto pick type deal there. But those are the two that I'd look at on the second page.
Well, and I actually agree with you on both of those. I think those were probably the only two. I think the Josh Berry 45-1 is somewhat
more intriguing.
It's somewhat, it's intriguing, but
better shot.
And not only because he finished fourth last week, but literally he was turning the fastest lap times on the track at the end. And in fact, the other spotters were telling their drivers, hey, the 21 is coming. The 21 is coming.
No, he
and I
passed a lot of
think
people.
and anybody that knows anything about the history of the sport knows the importance that the Wood brothers put on racing in their home state. Martinsville and Richmond are really important to the Wood brothers. They really, really put a lot into those races because they have a lot of pride in being.
Those are places Josh is great at.
Virginia, and you're right. And those are places that Josh is good at. So I like those. I like those picks. All right, let's take a look at our top threes for this weekend at Richmond. And no big surprise at the top of the board, we've got Denny Hamlin at plus 150, Christopher Bell plus 165, Joey Logano at 210, Ryan Blaney 220. Kyle Larson, 235. Ty Gibbs, 265. Then it's Reddick and Austin Dillon at 350. Byron and Bubba Wallace at 400. Chase Briscoe, 500. Elliott is 600. Buescher, 850. Chastain and Hocevar, 10-1. Berry and Keselowski, 12-1. Cindric is 14. And Ryan Preece is 17.
You look at this side for me, and again, we're going to say a lot of rinse and repeat, but Tyler Reddick didn't have a lot to show at all last week. Qualified really well, and just on lap 3, he lost it on his own. It was his own fault, and he said it. You get him at plus 350, but Austin Dillon 350 and Bubba Wallace 400 and Chase Briscoe 500. These are three guys, all with super strong runs last weekend. All of them could be battling for a top 3 spot, and they all give a great return for a top 3. So Austin Dillon, Bubba Wallace, Chase Briscoe, like those numbers on those guys. You want to go a little deeper? We just talked Josh Berry, 12-1. Could happen. I could absolutely see that happen. That's a doable long shot of a top 3.
And look, we talked about him on the odds to win because he was at 10-1. I think plus 265 is a pretty good number on Ty Gibbs.
It is actually. I forgot to mention. I've talked to the others. Ty Gibbs at 265 is a great return.
Especially, I think 3. once we get into and maybe it's because I've done a little peek ahead and seen what our top 3s look like a little bit, and I think the plus 265 is a good number on him. And the other one I kind of like there is Chase Briscoe at plus 500. That's a pretty big number, knowing that he's in that Toyota. I expect him to to have a solid run. I think plus 500, a really good number on him. Not sure that there's anybody else. Hocevar, as you said, that's the thing. Hocevar, you just never know with that 10 to 1. All right, let's take a look at our longer odds for top threes. And we have Shane Van Gisbergen and Alex Bowman. Both are at 20 to 1. Daniel Suarez, 25. Connor Zilic, 28. Michael McDowell's at 30. Zane Smith, John Hunter Nemechek, and Eric Jones at 35. Todd Gilliland, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., AJ Allmendinger, all at 55. Riley Herbst is 70 to 1. Austin Hill, 80. Noah Gragson, Cole Custer at 100. Ty Dillon's 110. Josh Bilicki, Cody Ware at 250.
It's really tough to grab somebody off of this list and give you a real solid top three potential. I'm trying to dig here for anything for you. Alex Bowman, Richmond, 1 win, 5 top 5s, 2 top 10s, last 10 races. That's somebody he finished second here in the race last year. So I could look at Alex Bowman and give you kind of a.
Except Hendrick has just struggled so much lately.
Well, and that's where I was going after to follow that up with, though, was talk out of both sides of my mouth. Alex Bowman, I go the last 10 less than a mile tracks, and he's only got 1 top 5, 3 top 10s in 9 races. And that's at Bristol and Richmond and Iowa are the 3 that Iowa last year, not this year. Other than that, 34th, 26th, 37th, 23rd. It's tough for me to give you anybody on this top 3 side, Jeff, that I can say, hey, here's a really good, solid, this guy's got a shot. Zane Smith runs really good, but not top 3. Zane's been having a great season for front row, but not top 3 worthy.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think maybe the only other name that it's kind of a little bit of an unknown is Eric Jones. Eric Jones is a guy, he's in a Toyota.
He qualified well last week. Things were looking up.
And what happened?
He got wrecked on lap 3.
His fault.
No, he
poor
Eric Jones last
well.
week.
He was strong in practice. He knew he needed to have a good run to have any chance of making it into the playoffs. I know there's a lot of pressure on him for this week because he's put it on himself. The team has not put it on him. And I think he's all locked in for next year. But I think if there's anybody if Eric Jones comes out and has another good qualifying run this week, and I think at a place like Richmond, qualifying well is important to start up front. And let's just hope he doesn't have the same, Tyler Reddick lost it and took Eric Jones with him.
And we say, we're doing this show way before we have a single lap of practice, a single lap of qualifying. You really want to bet this properly. You really want to give yourself a shot. Wait till after a practice. Wait till after a qualifying. You may lose out on some numbers. Eric Jones qualifies 7th again or 6th again. Yeah, he may drop from that 35 to 1 top 3 to a 20 to 1, but he's still going to be a good number.
No, I totally agree with you. And I think that's it. We're just trying to give you guidance once you do get all the facts, once you do get all your qualifying and everything else in. All right, let's take a quick look at our head-to-heads. We don't have very many of them this week, but we are excited to have groups back this week. But head-to-heads, Chase Briscoe, clearly with the biggest number of plus 120 against Bubba Wallace. Other plus lines, Christopher Bell, a plus 100 with Denny Hamlin. Chase Elliott, plus 105 with William Byron. Tyler Reddick, a plus 110 with Kyle Larson.
See,
that one might.
I like the Tyler Reddick plus 110, especially coming off of last week.
You're talking about 2 guys that are going in the wrong direction.
Yeah, but which one has shown a little bit more,
Well, lately I'm not sure either.
Kyle's been consistent, but Tyler has been fast. And I think that you could do that. But I like the Chase Briscoe. Bubba Wallace, great last weekend. Probably going to be great this weekend. Chase Briscoe, really good last weekend. And I think going to be really good this weekend, especially he's run well here in the past. It's not like Chase is not good at this racetrack.
Well, I actually agree with you there very much. I think Chase Briscoe.
And 120, good number.
Yeah, I think Chase Briscoe on the plus 120. I agree with you. I do like that number. Boy, I just don't know what to make of Reddick Larson right now. Kind of up in the air.
Battle going backwards.
Yep. All right, we come back. Guess what? Group matchups. We're excited to have group matchups. We'll give them to you as soon as we come back on Gone Racin. Welcome back into Gone Racing. Jeff Miley, Brendan Gaughan here at the South Point Hotel Casino. We're breaking down everything for the only trip this year to Richmond International Raceway. It's a place that we used to race twice a year for many, 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 many years. So it was 2 more times than Brendan wishes that we raced at Richmond. But that's a story for another day. But we do have the one race. I tried
everything. I tried good at positive attitude. I tried terrible attitude. I tried Tim Richmond attitude. I tried everything I could, and nothing worked.
Well, doesn't every driver just have probably a track?
Oh, absolutely.
That they just
absolutely.
This place just doesn't get me, and I don't get it.
Wasn't it Kyle Petty that used the Phil Darlington with water or something like that?
Oh, make a bass fishing tournament out of it.
Yeah.
It was a Darlington.
I
wasn't. I know it wasn't Rockingham because that's the only place Kyle Petty won, but he always won.
I use that for Richmond. That's my fill with water, and it rains so hard there some days it's almost filled with water. But anyway.
I know that, our old buddy that used to work there, Dennis Bickmeyer. Dennis listens to the show some because every now and then I get a text from Dennis that he's listening to the show. So
he was at California Speedway when I was cutting my teeth and moved out there, and he asked me to come do some stuff from out there. And when he went from California to Richmond, and I said, Dennis, you realize you're at, and he goes, but we had so much fun in California. I said, yeah, I liked California Speedway. I go, and of course Mike Campbell, the whole I hate Martinsville thing that became our moniker, but I loved Martinsville. No, Richmond, I really didn't like Richmond.
But you would do anything for Dennis, so you went.
I would do anything for Dennis.
You did the
here's
event
the
anyway. So
look, as far as fans go, Richmond's awesome.
Great place.
Great racetrack, puts on great racing. I've heard they've done a bunch to the facilities since I've been there, that they've upgraded the fairgrounds.
I think they've almost done kind of their own little version of the Neon Garage like we got at Las Vegas.
I mean,
a very
I've heard it looks awesome.
Friendly garage area there.
So it's awesome. They are a fan favorite. I finished what was it, 4th or whatever when Bobby wrecked me after the checkered flag. I finished 9th and sent 2 kids to the hospital with a fire on my pit crew. You know what I mean? Like, even when I had good days, bad things happen. So that's why me and Richmond.
Wow. It was your haunted house.
It was.
All right.
It's absolutely.
Okay. Well, and with that, can they tell our excitement that we have groups back this week? I've only talked about it like 4 times. So
and good numbers on groups,
and I'm beating that dead horse that I'm enjoying having the groups. And we got good groups this week. So let's start off in Group A, where Denny Hamlin is your favorite at plus 210. Christopher Bell is plus 230. Joey Logano plus 300, and Ryan Blaney a plus 325.
I normally stay away from Group A, and you got to bet against Denny Hamlin and Christopher Bell, but I've been talking a lot about the Penske resurgence as of late, and Joey Logano was second in the stages till he had a bad pit stop, and Ryan Blaney was in control of that race, and it was one of those pit calls of when do you pit, and his crew chief chose to stay out a few laps longer, and that few laps longer is what hurt him on the deal. So 325 in Group A, I am not against picking the Mad Mustache at 325.
Well, I tell you, I like the fact that I can get Christopher Bell and he's not the favorite.
At 230.
Again, and I've said this time and time again, it's really hard for me these days to pick against Toyotas anywhere we go. And the fact that Hamlin's the favorite, look, I think Bell at the end of the race, I mean, if Bell doesn't do a 4-tire stop and does a 2-tire stop, I think Bell wins that race at Iowa. We know Bell's been strong at Richmond. It's a track that suits him well. I love those numbers on Joey and Ryan. I really do.
If Ryan does a 2-tire stop, he wins the race.
By the way, I'm looking at these pictures of Joey and Ryan side by side. If you took Ryan's mustache off and put it on Joey's head, put it on Joey's head.
Oh, I was thinking,
what would we get?
All I do is I picture those two 20 years ago, 15 years ago when, Ryan, not 15 because he's young, but Joey, can you go superimpose an old picture of one of them to what they look like now?
Yeah.
They are not what they look like now.
No, they're not. And for us, we've just seen them kind of transform over the years. So, but I'm just thinking that Ryan's mustache, as if Joey used it as a toupee, would it work?
Joey, I love you. That's Jeff Hartley saying that. And on this screen,
we love
also,
you guys.
If we're listening in Sirius, which this doesn't play well, but if you're watching the YouTube stream, Denny Hamlin has this little bitty mustache there on the left-hand side of the screen, and it's like...
And Christopher Bell looks like he's 15.
And Christopher Bell looks like he's 15. So, yeah.
Anyway, it's just the fact that the graphic we've got puts the two of them side by side, and it was just a little striking.
Hey,
that's all.
So, a lot of money in that hair.
Yeah. Okay.
A lot of money.
And look, we love Ryan. We love Joey. It's just the picture makes it look a little funny,
Picture 1,000 words.
And I'm sure that look, I'm sure people have kind of razzed on Joey. Although you know what, I like the Joey look. By the way, I think the bald and the little kind of goatee mustache thing, I think that works. So anyway, if you're losing it, just get rid of all of it, right?
Nope. High.
Well, you're not losing it that bad.
I was. I spent a lot of money on trying to keep this.
Would you get the Roy Clark plugs or something up there?
They cut my head and everything.
You remember
I'm
Roy
trying.
Clark used to be on that show Hee Haw? He got all
Absolutely.
those hair plugs. He was bald once. He's the first person I've heard of.
Newer
that hair
technology
plugs.
now than
Yeah, I'm sure
Roy
they
Clark.
upgraded. All right. That's enough about that. Let's move along to our Group B here, where probably not a big surprise here. An overwhelming favorite, Ty Gibbs is plus 200, but the guy who's won the last two Richmond races, Austin Dillon, moving up to Group B this week, he's a plus 280. Kyle Larson's plus 250. He's been bet down. I'm not sure why. And then Bubba Wallace at plus 330, the long shot.
I'll tell you what, I'm so bummed right now that Austin Dillon moved all the way up to Group B this week because
no stealing him this week.
Exactly. It's like, dang it. Would love to see that at 280. And I really love the Bubba Wallace bet. He's the dog right now at 330. How Kyle Larson has been bet down to 250. Shocker to me. I love the Bubba Wallace 330. The only problem is he's up against Ty Gibbs. And I think Ty Gibbs could have been in Group A this week with his performance last week. So these, of course, we talked about groups being back. I got these from BetUS is where we found group matchups this week. So we got some thank you to those guys over there at BetUS for keeping groups up. But yeah, I'm so bummed. It's a great group, but I love that Ty Gibbs at 200. And I would love Bubba Wallace in any other group. I would love Austin Dillon in any other group. But in this group, I just don't like it.
I would honestly think I'd like Austin Dillon plus 280 in Group A more than going against Ty Gibbs right now.
Almost, yeah.
I just think Gibbs was so good last week. And look,
good.
He's got confidence, a lot of confidence now. He's sitting second in points.
Boy, the boy's never lacked it when he has it. When he has it, it's big.
You're right. But I also think he got humbled a bit.
Well, and that's the best thing for him. And now the confidence comes from a different place.
Well, right. And it's also a confidence that you realize that it can go away if you don't keep doing what you're doing. It's not suddenly you're not God's gift to racing.
Yep.
So, but I'm kind of with you there. I mean, Dillon plus 280, very interesting. It is a 3-horse race, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure. I don't get the Larson thing, but look, once Kyle goes out and wins a race, I think he could win 2 or 3. I just think something is not jiving on that team, and at some point they have to figure it out. All right, let's move along to our Group C, where Chase Briscoe is your favorite here at plus 225. Then Tyler Reddick and William Byron both at plus 250, and a big number, a plus 320 on Chase Elliott.
Yeah, I mean, this one right here, Tyler Reddick has not been running well, right? I mean, okay. Chase Briscoe, to me, should be the favorite. Chase Elliott and Byron should be the dogs. But Tyler Reddick, to me, is still a favorite. I don't care what has happened lately. He has speed every race. Something happens every race, whether it's his fault, whether it's somebody else's fault.
Which last week was his fault.
Last week, he took all the blame for it, too. He stood up and took it. But
he's that guy, though. We got to give him credit. He's an accountable guy.
Oh, he's absolutely.
He doesn't blame anybody else when he knows it's himself. Yeah.
And so I do, even though I love Chase Briscoe as the favorite, I love Tyler Reddick at 250. I think that's a great bet for Reddick at 250. I like him way better than the Hendrick cars. Hendrick cars, you've got to show me something before I start betting back on you. And you're definitely not going to beat the Gibbs cars right now, in my opinion, until they show me something. So Tyler Reddick, 250. I love that one.
Well, and I thought maybe I was going to sneak that one in on you, but I guess I'm not going to sneak that one.
I like Chase though. But I just think Tyler Reddick is that good.
Well, I'm with you. Look, again, I've been bullish on these Toyotas, and Briscoe and Reddick are both in Toyotas. I don't really think there's a great deal of difference necessarily in them, but one is at plus 250, one's at plus 225. I'm not taking either one of those Chevys. I know Byron got a top 10 last week at Iowa, which seemed like a victory almost for them these days right now. So, and yeah, that is the problem. So, boy, I wish I could throw something big at everybody, but I'm in agreement with my partner here, Tyler Reddick. I like Tyler Reddick plus 250. All right, let's move along to Group D, where we can literally throw a blanket over all 4 of them because all 4 drivers are plus 260. And that is made up of Carson Hocevar, Chris Buescher, Josh Berry, and Brad Keselowski.
Well, and here's the deal. They're all fairly evenly matched if you look at how well they do here. What I like, though, is do you remember what happened a few years ago at this racetrack with a guy named Chris Buescher? He's got a win here, if you remember. 2023. Won the playoff race here. So, and he's been has a 9th place since then. I do love that Chris Buescher in that 260. But what have you done for me lately? I really, really look at this and say, Josh Berry coming off of last weekend, that just What have you done lately? That's one of your favorite things you tell me, Jeff. Josh Berry last weekend came home fourth. None of these guys were in the conversation. I like Josh Berry, 260.
Well, folks, we apologize for how boring our show is getting because there's not a lot of banter between me and Brendan today because
there's agreement.
I could not agree with you more.
And Chris has the record, right? He's got the win, but he just not as strong last week, not as strong.
Now, if Hocevar came in here and won the race, probably wouldn't shock me.
Wouldn't shock me.
If Hocevar came in here and ran 34th, it wouldn't shock me.
And he's got a top 10 here. Carson Hocevar, 3 races, 1 top 10.
I just look at the way that Barry ran last week, and he's run the last couple of weeks, even though Indy's a completely different track. A lot of confidence, momentum with that team. I love Josh Berry, plus 260.
So do I.
All right, our last group, and again, we got 4 drivers, all at plus 260. It's like we could have just had one big old group and combined E and F, but all plus 260, and that's Connor Zilic, Eric Jones, Michael McDowell, and Zane Smith.
And I sadly think, Jeff Motley, you and I are going to be the exact same on this, and I think we both have a guy that we like more than anybody else in this entire group. Even though Eric Jones is an outlier, Zane Smith is probably running best of everybody in this group all year.
He has run the best of everybody in this group, but we actually are going to disagree.
All right.
Because I am not going to pick against the Toyota. I am committed.
And he was fast last week.
Yes. Well, he was fast in practice. He was fast in qualifying. We don't know if he was fast in the race because he didn't really get a chance to race. But I like Eric Jones here because I think he is probably the most desperate of the guys in this group right here. I think he needs it the most. And I like the fact he's on a Toyota. So
I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you.
That's where I'm going. I'm going Eric Jones in a Toyota.
You're going against your Zane Smith?
I know. Okay, we come back on Gone Racing. We got a few more. We got manufacturers. We got winning team. Tell you how we did last week, and we'll give you our picks for Richmond. Welcome back into the final segment of Gone Racing this week. Jeff Motley, Brendan Gaughan here at the South Point Hotel Casino. We told you before we went off the air we had manufacturers and winning team. I lied. We don't have winning team. I got a winning team on a sheet. Last week's, so we don't have winning team. But that's because we did winning team last week because we didn't have any groups and a bunch of bad or a few bad head-to-heads. So we needed something to fill time because you and I don't talk enough as it is. So this week, we don't have the winning teams because we had the group matchups. But we do have the manufacturer prop. And so we'll do the manufacturer prop here real quick, where Toyota is the favorite there at plus 105. Chevy is a plus 205 and Ford a plus 255.
We got to talk about value all the time. Value is what you're looking for. NASCAR betting always has value. That's why you and I never take a minus number in a NASCAR race. There's too many places to find value. Plus 255 for Ford when the guy that finished second in both stages and the guy that led the most laps drove what last week? A blue oval. They drove the Ford. I love the 255 bet for Ford. I get Joey and I get Ryan. And I get a few other guys that can do well occasionally. I do like that. The Fords are starting to move. The Penskes are starting to move. And 255 is value. I do like that.
So I'm going to go back real quick. Odds to win the race.
Yeah.
Toyota, Ford, Chevy, Toyota, Toyota. And yet
Chevy is 205.
Chevy is a bigger favorite than Ford.
Well, and that's why there's value. That's why I'm saying I think they got this backwards to me. This week it should be Ford 205, Chevy 255. And so that's why there's value in the Ford bet at 255.
Well, the definite no bet is Chevy.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make any sense. Now, Toyota plus 105. Yeah, it's a plus line. I don't know. I agree with you, though. If you're going to bet the manufacturer prop, I think Ford is probably definitely the best way to do it. All right, quick look at our championship odds. Probably the I don't know. I guess if there's any movement, it's
Ty Gibbs. Look, here's the thing. These come from the South Point, which is where we get the championship odds. And Ty Gibbs, you and I have said for a bunch of weeks, we even said it last week, Ty Gibbs was still a high double-digit number. He is down to plus 800 for the championship odds right now. And that is, you've lost the massive value on Ty Gibbs, but you still have value, in my opinion.
You know, I find it interesting right now at plus 800. Seabell, Briscoe, Gibbs, and Larson are all sitting at plus 800. Now, I believe that Bell and Gibbs have a far better chance and are looking far stronger
than Briscoe and Larson.
So to me, either Bell or Gibbs, either one at plus 800 is still a pretty
value.
good bet.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not ready to completely kick dirt in on our defending champion or on Chase Briscoe, because actually I think I may have picked Briscoe to win it all when the season started. I'm trying not to admit my own defeat, but I don't know. I just think that right now, Bell and Gibbs, I think those are pretty good numbers.
I do. And once again, we're talking about how to hedge these bets and how to use this as a future as your advantage. I still love Joey Logano, 30-1. He is still my favorite on the value side there. You can get a lot from him at 30-1 because I think he's way better than 30-1 right now.
Yep. I don't disagree with you. All right, let's take a look how we did last week. It was a very successful week for both of us. You were a little bit better than me, but
I was say that. Sorry. What was that?
You know, you're winning the overall. Now let me tell you this. It's a hell of a lot closer between me and you than it is between Denny Hamlin and Ty Gibbs right now. I'm just saying.
Okay, but what'd you say it was?
You had a better week.
Oh, okay.
No.
How many weeks in a row is that now?
I don't know. But you're not that far. Well, it's not that many because you only took the lead from me because you actually skipped out on doing the show the one week I was ahead of you.
Hey, and I bet I sent my picks in.
Yeah, you just didn't want to have to sit here and face the music with me. That's what it was.
The 1 week I didn't pick last.
Well, but we did both get 2 winners last week. You just got a bigger winner than I did. I had winners with the Dillon over Cindric, which the Dillon over Cindric, you and I both had it. I thought the pit crew had gotten that one, but they didn't. They actually took SVG over Cindric, which did not. They actually lost that one by 1 spot, by the way. So
close.
Felt bad for them. It was very close.
You know, close get you.
Yeah, exactly. But you and I both had the Austin Dillon over Cindric. In fact, I believe we both said that was our lock of the week, and it wasn't close. I think Cindric finished like 26th, and Dillon finished what, 8th?
Dillon was top 10.
Top 10? I know it was top 10.
And Cindric was, let me find that here for you, way down here in 29th.
Yeah, 29th. Was it 29th?
29th. I'm looking at it right now.
And SVG was 30th?
SVG was 30th.
Wow. And then the other pick I got last week, I did have Ty Gibbs. What did I have? No, I didn't have Ty Gibbs. I had the JGR. I had the JGR to win at plus 120. You had Ty Gibbs for top 3, which you talked about earlier. Pit crew got, did they get one right? They got one right. They had the Toyota winner.
Yep.
They had the Toyota winner last week. So the overall standings, you're up about 4 units, and pit crew.
Well, let me talk about mine. Joey Logano for a top 3. He was second in both stages, was killing it until his jackman dropped I texted you in the middle of the race and was furious about that. Then I've got Bubba Wallace, like, charging. He is the man right now. I'm like, Bubba Wallace is King Kong, and his jackman drops the jack early. I had a plus 900 and a plus 250 sitting there on deck, ready to go. Or I had Ford at 240 with Ryan Blaney. I had them all. I had a shot at them all. I was very, very mad. Very mad.
Now,
mad sad.
Can I explain something to you? I also had Ford to win. So you wouldn't have gained any ground.
Doesn't matter.
Won the
I
race.
would have had a winner. Here, if we got the same ones, I like being a winner. I like having winners.
You know, I honestly think you like being ahead of me more than you like winning.
Maybe. I mean, there may be some of that.
Well, you also know if you beat me, you win. Because
look,
the lead
there was 1 year on Gone Racin that I was abysmal. And it was the first year of the new car. And I was terrible. Other than that, I'm pretty sure I've been on near the top every time.
I actually do like the fact that we have 13 races to go, and it's actually close. Because we've had some years where
last year
it's been
when I
was last year the year you got over 100?
Yeah.
No, 2 years ago.
Well, it was last year.
I won last year.
Jeff won last year?
I won last year.
I don't recall.
You won.
It's amazing how my memory doesn't work like that.
It is. It's just like you skipping out on shows when you're not in the
lead. I don't recall. I just
know. I guess, folks, just know if I take the lead after this week, Brendan won't be in here next week for New Hampshire. He may not even dial in. We may have to go find
call Wyatt back and see if he can come in
to pinch hit. Okay. Speaking of our picks, it's time to get to our picks for this week. And as is customary, the pit crew goes first. Worst goes first.
It's become their permanent home.
Yes, worst goes first.
So
they are going to pick a winner.
Okay.
A nice winner here. Ty Gibbs, 10-1. I think it's a great pick.
I think that's a great pick.
They're taking Briscoe over Bubba, plus 120. Reddick over Larson, plus 110. They've got Brad K in Group D at plus 260, and it's not a big winner, but if they get the Ty Gibbs, they get this one, a Toyota with a plus 105 to win.
I like it. I actually like a lot of those picks this week. Really do.
Now, my picks this week, I'm going to take Ty Gibbs for a top 3, and that's a plus 265. And thank goodness are the groups back, because I'm picking 4 of the 5 groups this week. I'm going Christopher Bell in Group A, plus 230. Tyler Reddick in Group C, plus 250. And then, of course, these are all 260s. I got Josh Berry winning Group D and Eric Jones winning in Group E. What say you, Mr. Gaughan?
I like a lot of those. So I'm actually going to go with the pit crew on this. And unlike you, I'm going to pick Ty Gibbs to win at 10-1. I mean, look, Christopher Bell was faster than him at the end, but Ty, they did a nice job there. So I'm going to take the shot at Ty Gibbs to win at 10-1. And then I am going to go Bubba Wallace top 3 at plus 400. I do like the Bubba Wallace bet. I think that's going to be a good one there. And then I'm going to go the head-to-head Chase Briscoe versus Bubba. I can still win both of those.
You can.
Don't give me that. I can still win both of those, plus 120.
That's true. People on SiriusXM didn't see the look I just gave you.
Yes, I know. Then I'm going to drop on down into Group A, and I'm taking the dog at Ryan Blaney at 325. I liked Blaney last week, and I think he can do it again this week. And then I am going to my 5th pick. I'm debating between Ford or the Tyler Reddick. I think I got to go Tyler Reddick. Tyler Reddick, Group C, plus 250.
So we're going to agree on one pick.
And me and the pit crew agree on a pick this week. I'm going for a W.
Going for the W.
I mean, hey, the kid's strong right now, and you love momentum. I love momentum. You know how we feel about that around Gone Racin, the big Mo word.
Well, the fact that we have a big lead on the pit crew picking Ty Gibbs doesn't really faze me. But you picking Tyler Gibbs, I'm not going to. It makes me a little nervous.
Like it could be a gap there.
Now, I get a little bit back because I picked him for a top 3, but my little piddly 275 against your 10-1 is probably not going to be.
It's going to hurt a little bit.
That's not going to be much to overcome. But no, I like the way he's racing right now. I mean, it's clear.
Look, these tracks are identical, Jeff. I mean, they're as identical as 2 tracks can be. So I think that he is strong. He ran well last week.
And it lends well to him because we're running them in back-to-back weekends too.
Exactly.
If these races were one in May and one was in August, then I'm not saying you forget stuff, but things change.
Nothing changed from last week to this week.
I mean, look, would you not just load that car in the trailer?
I guarantee you they did.
Unload the same car as soon as you get there. I mean, I wouldn't touch it.
If I'm Joe Gibbs Racing, that car went back to the shop. I know they had a car ready to go for Richmond. If I'm Ty Gibbs, I take that car. We take whatever little changes we want to make on it, clean it up, and ship it right back out.
Yeah, I just don't see how you could want to mess with.
Nope, I'm with you
with any of that. So, well, all right, I got about a minute or so left in the show, so we're looking pretty good for the playoffs. I think. I mean, we've only 3 races left. Who's the most nervous going into this week? SVG, Cindric, or the guys on the outside?
I think the guys on the outside have the real pressure on them. I mean, Ryan Preece has to perform. He's got to be able to get a solid run, get some stage points, which when you're racing for stage points changes how you race the race, right? So I think that him and Austin Cindric right now, Preece and Cindric are the 2 that have the most pressure. And SVG, he just has to say, I don't know anything else exists, just race my race. If SVG just races a race and finishes okay, he'll make the chase.
If you're those guys around the bubble, how important are just trying to get every stage point you can, even if it means the finish of the race may not be as good?
I never liked that, but it means a lot nowadays. I mean, so if I'm Preece and Austin, I'm working on those. Even Ross Chastain. Ross Chastain needs a Hail Mary. He's got to do
stage
points.
Keselowski. Keselowski and Ross both need a big, huge Hail Mary. All right, well, they call it the action track. So this weekend, Richmond, it's a Saturday night race. Don't forget if you're watching. We'll be back next week. We'll wrap up all things Richmond, and we'll start breaking down the penultimate race in the regular season at New Hampshire.